Well, from my perspective, much of history was probably made up by those that won the wars. And wars, what are they good for? More wars? Is a show that's out there in the universe of the absurd, like a boil on the butt of a dark hole, somewhere out there, lost in the stars of the universe, in another dimension of science fiction, fantasy, and heck, I don't know. That's why they call me the Idiot Emeritus, and Professor Dummkopf, and alias Hairmandu. I'll tell you about the lady and the farmer, and the farmer stopped by the hardware store and the feed store. He bought a bucket and a gallon of paint, and he stopped by the feed store and picked up a couple chickens and a goose. Well, he was outside the store and he was wondering how to carry his purchases home. You see, he didn't have a horse, he didn't have a wagon to attach it to, and didn't have no pick-em-up truck. While he was scratching his head, he was approached by a lovely lady who told him, "Sir, I am lost. Can you tell me how to get to this address?" And the farmer said, "Well, as a matter of fact, my farm is right next door to that house, and I'll walk you there, but I can't carry this lot." And the lady suggested, "Why don't you put the can of paint in the bucket and carry the bucket in one hand and put the chicken under each arm and the goose in the other hand?" And, "Oh, thank you very much." And he proceeded to walk with the fine young lady towards his farm. And on the way he said, "Let's make a shortcut down this alley. We'll be there in no time." And the lady looked him over cautiously and said, "I'm a lonely old widow without a husband to protect me. How do I know when we get into that alley you won't hold me and try and kiss me or have your way?" And the farmer said, "Holy smokes, lady, I'm carrying a bucket, a gallon of paint, 2 chickens and a goose. How in the world would I possibly kiss you?" And the lady replied, "Well, set down the goose, cover him with the bucket, put the paint on top of the bucket, and I'll hold the chickens." Yeah, well, it's Mother Nature at its worst or best. You never know where it's gonna go. Help save the child. Help save the child. Help save the child from themselves. Helping to save the children. Saving the children from themselves. Well, there's West Coast girls and California boys. West Coast girls and California boys. Well, I don't remember all the words and how it goes like this. Nation that has all kinds of newfangled things. Solar panels, electric cars. And the child dancing in their seats, while outside and over the pond another nation, they're sleeping in the streets and bombs are going off and buildings are crumbling. Yeah, and Ukraine has burned, Palestine ain't so pretty, and Israel's a mess. Well, the world's on fire. In Washington, well, I don't know. It ain't gone up in flames yet, but it's sure lost like the Alamo, and don't know what we're gonna do, but I do know this. It won't be the first time that foreigners have invaded our soil. Oh yeah, World War II with them submarines off the coasts and those fire gizmo things that were flying over Los Angeles. And I don't forget the things we did to the American Indian, and I don't forget the things that we did in locking up the Japanese during the war. You ever been to a reservation or do you have reservations about seeing what really goes on a reservation? I ain't talking about no gambling casino. I don't know. Maybe Hairman don't know what he's talking about, but I've traveled here, I've traveled there, been across the pond, and been a few places, and I've seen a lot of places I wouldn't want to be, and California's one of them. New York State, well, it's kind of looking that way. Massachusetts and New Jersey don't look much better, though they're really pretty. The Garden State, you know, I grew up there, and you got the Reds and the Blues, and they're all fighting. And we got a second war going now that we're backing, and I'm wondering what Putin and the Chinese are up to, and how we're getting dragged into these things. And wars, what are they good for? Well, they're good for the ammunition and the plane companies and the politicians that line their pockets with donations and other things, nefarious activity, and a lot of things go on in war that wouldn't normally go on in war. And the winner of the war gets to rebuild the other nation. That's how it's worked, yeah. And where do they borrow the money from? Where do they print the money from? Follow the money, and you know how the game goes. Yeah. God save the little children. God save the child. God save the youth of this nation before they institute a draft again. Yeah, God save this world. You ever talk to God? You know, my way of looking about talking to God is I don't have to be all polite and prim like you might be, dressing up and, or howling at the moon, you know. Once in a while, you just can yell and scream and shout and howl and, yeah, looking up to the heavens or the center of the earth. And isn't it amazing? Some people think the earth is flat and some think the earth is a globe, and, well, I don't believe either one of them. I remember I had this letter my pa gave me from Admiral Byrd, another that my pa gave me from, who was that guy that flew across the ocean there? Was it Lindsay? Before they kidnapped his child? Yeah. There's one thing that never changes in this world, and it's war. What's it good for? Well, it's good for making a lot of money. It's good for saving politicians that are in serious trouble, and I can think and name of quite a few. Seems like every war that's ever happened, there's a politician that's been in serious trouble, and you have a war, and then everybody looks the other way. They wag the tail. Yeah, well, anyway, I didn't mean to depress you. Let's get on with the shoe, do whatever that is. I ain't got a clue. How about we kick it off with a little fun here this morning? Some Zydeco. WRPI Troy.